Hey there, Tim from Alpha Wolf Trading coming at you with this week's stocks to watch for trading and investing. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. Going to get on a soapbox for a little bit here and talk about some things that are going through my mind. It would be very, very easy for me to jump on the negativity bandwagon uh, after last week and tell people that they need to go all cash, and the markets are looking like potentially we could be heading into a bear market, and the good times may be over. And there's a lot of cynicism out there. I listened to a couple of podcasts. I listened to a couple of other traders, weekly viewpoints, and there's a lot of negativity out there. And to me, anybody that's telling you or suggesting that you should go all cash and sell all your investments right now is just being 1000% irresponsible. A lot of talk about bag holders and stuff like that. And I got to tell you, over my investing career, I have been a bag holder. I have had some stocks that have didn't pan out, and I have had some bag holding where the stocks were absolute monsters. And just to give you a few examples of that, Marvel Enterprises. I was a bag holder for years on Marvel Enterprises, and it went from one and change up and was eventually bought by Disney for $55 a share. I was a bag holder of Sirius Satellite Radio when it was in the pennies, and that's sitting at six and change right now. I've been a bag holder of Melco, which is used to be MPEL, casino out of Macau, and I was in that, a bag holder at $3, and it's now trading around $30. Um, Everybody talks about bag holding, but you can have a bag of trash and you can have a bag of treasure, right? Which one is it? Which one do you have? Do you have a bag of trash or do you have a bag of treasure? Elfin was a bag of trash, right? I mean, this got halted on Friday, T12 halt. Very bad news for that company and for the people that were playing it. Uh, I did not play Elfin. I viewed that company as trash, and even though there were some potentially short term trading opportunities there, I kind of avoided it. Now I have some people in we have people in our room that were trading Elfin quite actively and did very well with it. That wasn't my style of trade. I felt as though it was the kind of company that could have happen what happened, right? T12 halt, very scary. And for those that are thinking that the shorts are going to clean up on this thing, listen, your borrow fees on this can be really, really high. And even if Elfin were to open up, if it ever opens up and go to zero, if this drags out for 6 months, 9 months, a year, who knows how long, weeks, you could wind up paying more in borrow fees than you actually can recoup if the company goes to zero, right? So as you look out at the landscape of things right now, technically we're under some pressure. We're flirting with the 200-day moving average. We've got a bear flag pattern on the daily time frame. We've got all this stuff going on with the potential trade war, and social media. We got the negative press going on there, and autonomous vehicles. Somebody died, and that's hitting that sector. A lot of negativity out there, and it would be very, very simple to say, sell everything, go to cash. We're heading into a bear market. I do not. I guess you could say I'm a permabull, and the reason I'm a permabull is I believe in animal spirits and ingenuity. Now, there are a lot of people out there that think the stock market is a scam because it always goes up. You know, for every Elfin out there, I believe that there are 10 companies that are good companies that are going to change the world, right? Going to come out with new innovative products that are going to change the world. Think about where we've been and what we've done. Why does the stock market keep going up? Because we keep creating, we keep coming up with new products and I mean, think about it. Think about the fact that, 10 years ago, what was a cell phone? It was a brick, right? I mean, and now everybody and their brother has a smartphone, not just a cell phone, but a smartphone. Look at gene editing. Look at CAR-T. Look at, social media itself, right? Facebook, Twitter. These things didn't exist. They were created. Ingenuity. Robotics. Look at robotics. Look at artificial intelligence. Does anyone believe that one accident that killed someone in Arizona is going to derail autonomous driving vehicles forever? Does anybody truly believe that? I don't think that that's the case. I think that what it's going to do is it's going to make them create even better autonomous vehicle sensory detection and all this other stuff. It's going to wind up being a positive, right? I don't think, does anybody think that 10 years from now, 5 years from now, we're not going to have autonomous driving vehicles? Does anybody really, truly believe that? I don't. I believe that we will have those things. I believe that robotics are going to become more prevalent. I think that artificial intelligence is going to be more prevalent. I think we're going to have bigger breakthroughs in biotechnology. I think that there's a lot of great things that are still yet to happen. There will be companies that will disappear, like the Blockbuster Videos and the WorldComs. There will always be bad seeds out there, but I believe that there will be far more better companies, good companies that are going to take us higher. Until, look, I'll throw a little caveat in here. If robots take over the world or we get invaded by aliens, maybe we don't continue to go up in the stock market, right? I mean, something bad could happen. We go to World War III and nuclear bombs are being flung around the world. Yeah, it's probably not going to be a good thing. It might be the end of the stock market, but I certainly do not see that right now. What I see right now, hate them or love them, right now, this current administration has put this country, in my belief, with the tax reform, in the best position for animal spirits and ingenuity that we have seen in decades. That is my belief. And I think that eventually that will start to show. There is a lot of negativity out there. Can we break below the 200-day? Can we break below the recent lows in February? Absolutely. Should you not sell any of your stocks? I wouldn't recommend that either. If you're sitting on a nice profit, you've held Tesla from 100 to 300, or you've held Netflix, or from 75 to where it's sitting. Yeah, take some off the table. Build some cash. Nothing wrong with that. Sell it all? I'm not going to tell you to sell it all. That would be irresponsible. Unless you need the money, unless you absolutely have to have the money, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Let's put things into perspective, all right? I want to take a look at the SPY, right? You look at the SPY, we're not looking good. We're at the 200-day, potentially looking like we're going to try and take that out. We could retest these February lows. If we break below the February lows, can we pull back to 249, 250, 220? Sure, absolutely, we could do that. We could pull all the way back to this 225 level. And what's the 225 level? I don't know. Let's back it out. Let's look at it. We talk about the yearly. Here's the yearly chart of the S&P 500. And if you look at it, we are in an uptrend. Could we pull all the way back to this 100 mark and still remain in an uptrend? We could, right? We've accelerated since 2008. Let's look at where we are, right? How did I identify 224? I identified 224 by coming back to this trend line. We're extended. Can we come all the way back to 224? Absolutely. Are we in a defined bear market at that point? Yes, we are. Okay? We are in a defined bear market if we go back to 224. Is it the end of the world? Could we bounce? Are we still in an uptrend? Is the long-term trajectory of this still up? It is. My belief is this. We needed a pullback. We haven't had one in a long time. There's a lot of traders out there that haven't even experienced a bear market. It's a painful thing to go through, but it's also opportunity. It gives you an opportunity to buy stocks that are on sale. Why is it in the stock market no one wants you to buy stocks when they're on sale? Are you going to be able to pick the exact bottom? I don't know. But that's why you identify multiple areas of potential price support. You put together a plan. You have an amount of shares in your mind that you want to own for the long haul. I'm not talking about, 2 weeks. I'm not talking about 2 months. I'm talking about the long haul. Warren Buffett, he buys a stock, he holds it for 10 years. 10 years. Think about that, right? There's a difference between investing and trading. And when you get a bear market, that is the best time to find those nuggets, to find those good quality companies that you can invest in. And you start doing it a little bit at a time. It pulls back more, the markets pull back more, you add to your position. I know that's contrary to what a lot of people recommend out there, but that is how I have gone about it for years. I've been very, very successful in doing that. Day trading, short-term swing trading, very different story. How do you define it? Look, decide what's trash and decides what's really speculative and what is a solid investment, what has a bulletproof balance sheet, a strong backlog, and is in a sector that is in maybe its infancy stages of growth, like robotics or artificial intelligence or gene editing, right? These are things. Now, look, the gene editing, the biotech's a lot more risky, right? A lot more risk because of the fact that you got the phase 2, phase 3 trials, but still, there are going to be companies in the biotech world that are going to change lives, right? Good things are going to happen. So I don't want to take too much more time on this, but look, are we under some pressure? Yes, we're under some pressure. Is it the end of the world? Not thinking it's the end of the world. Could we have some more saber rattling between China and the U.S.? Could NAFTA fall apart? Could there be things in the short term that put some significant pressure on the markets? Yes, there could. Should you sell it all and go straight to cash? Look, I don't think that's exactly the best idea, right? I think that the markets over the long run are going to continue to climb higher. And I think when things like this happen, when things like this occur, it creates tremendous opportunity. This is the time when you start doing your homework. You start finding those nuggets that will turn into bags of treasure and not bags of trash, right? So I'm feeling for anybody that jumped into LFIN. I'm sure there was great money made. I know there was great money made. And now there's going to be a great amount of money lost, most likely. And I feel for you. I feel for anybody that is caught there. But look at the stock market with different glasses. It's not about, if you're just looking for short term, instant gratification trades, then don't invest, right? But the real money is made when you find good companies that you can invest in. Look, I've got subscribers that we're in some stocks that right now nobody's looking at. Okay? They're long-term hold plays. And I can tell you this, if the market tanks, and it gives me an opportunity to add to these positions significantly, if I can double or triple or quadruple my position sizing, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to look at it as a gift. because I know that all companies sometimes follow the overall market, and is not a reflection of what's happening in the company. It's a reflection of what's happening in the markets, and it creates an opportunity for me to really build significant size in positions that of companies that I truly believe in, and that's when the big paydays come. So that's my little rant this morning. Whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, I respect your position. I just would encourage you to look at things differently. Look at things on different time frames and think about, why does the stock market continue to go up? Is it all a scam, or is it because there are new companies that come and create new technologies and new things that people want, make people safer? Why does the stock market keep going? Because there's always ingenuity. And right now, our market climate is so, I think, fantastic for that moving forward. All right? Okay, that is it. So, look, real quick, let's talk about some other sectors and spaces. Look, if NAFTA falls apart, if more threats from China and U.S., more bantering back and forth, can we see some lower lows? Yes, we could see some lower lows. Could we see higher volatility? TVIX, UVXY, VXX, TZA, LABD, SPXS, SPXU. We look at those to trade for short-term opportunities. Gold and miners, right? Keep an eye on those. Keep an eye on utilities. If fear really starts to take hold, this is where some money could rotate to. IBB not looking very good. Matter of fact, you go through a lot of the sectors not looking real positive right now. Robo, SMH actually holding up probably the best. Still above hasn't even touched its 50-day moving average yet, right? But we've got some caution flags out there with SPY and IWM. And IWM testing the 50-day, right? We break below the 50-day, that would be problematic. IBB, let's take a look at that one. Broke and closed below the 200-day. We're sitting right at potential price support of $100. We break below that, we come down, maybe we test this trend line here. Around 95 and change. We break below that, where's the next level of support? Potentially $82, $83, somewhere in that area. So things are under pressure, and we'll see. We're a headline away from some market moving event. Every single day, that's the case, right? What's taking hold now is fear and negativity. How long will it last? I don't know. It'll last until things get so cheap that people can't stand, the big smart money can't stand it, and they'll jump back in. So IYT, kind of not looking real good here on IYT. Let me back this out. But look, this is the 50-week moving average. I'm sorry, I'm on the weekly time frame. Testing the trend line, testing the 200-day on IYT, right? Stochastics curling down. Things not looking good for the short term. But in the long run, I think this is going to create some tremendous buying opportunities. All right. Energy. What's the disconnect there? USO. Oil, climbing, and energy names have pulled back pretty hard, haven't really responded. I like the energy space. There are several energy names in this week's stocks to watch list. I actually sent an article out to the pro members of a really good article that I came across on Seeking Alpha that really kind of helps put things into perspective, and things are not as bad as they may seem. That's all I'm going to say. Can they get worse? Sure. Will fear pick up? Absolutely. Will more negativity come out? You bet. And like Warren Buffett says, buy when others are fearful and sell when others are greedy. So keep that in mind. Let me hop on to the list of stocks to watch for this week. Let's go ahead and get started. BWEN, these guys announced on, looks like, Friday, that their orders are coming back. This has had a really big bounce. Look at where it stopped on a dime. It stopped right here at the 200-day moving average. This could potentially set up for a nice red to green. Now, this is the third day of the move. Big volume. Now, this could be a blow off top here, or maybe we consolidate here at the 200-day. So it's worth keeping an eye on for next week. Could you get a real quick red to green scalp, maybe a pullback into the 275, 280 area, and then bounce back up and test the $3 one more time, or 325? That could happen. Worth keeping an eye on it for a day trade or potential swing trade opportunity on a pullback to support. NIHD. Watched this one all week last week, actually, in the chat room, and it held up really, really well. Now, third day of the move, it tried to pop out, and that may be a failed breakout here. This 227, 225 area was a big spot to try and get through, pulling back, or I would look for it to pull back, I should say, into the 225, 220 area. See if that holds as support for a bounce. Could be a red to green move. It's only got 48 million shares in the float. If it gets any kind of real volume, I mean, it traded 3.4 million shares on Friday, gets any kind of real volume, maybe a trading opportunity there. Maybe on a pullback to $1.85, $1.80, somewhere in that area. Could be a higher risk swing opportunity because of that smaller float, but worth keeping an eye on. NIHD. BLFS. I watched this stock for so long, and they just reported earnings, and this is from earnings. It's popped right up into an area of resistance, and I really liked this pattern that it was putting together on the daily time frame. Look at the 200-day, nice slope up. The 50-day had kind of flattened out. Look at what your 50-day is doing now. It's curling up. Now, this has had a pretty big run already, so pretty tough to take it here, but maybe on a pullback into the 650, 635, 645 area, this could be an interesting one to take a look at for a swing, higher risk swing opportunity. And, look, if it consolidates and just flags out here at around $7 or so, maybe you watch for it to flag out and then build up some energy and take out that 750 area. So that's could be a day trading opportunity. Maybe you want to wait until we've consolidated a bit here and absorb this big move that it's already had. It's only got 6.4 million shares in the float, traded 212,000 shares. This might be needing a rest. So, but worth putting on your radar for the next few weeks. HMY, gold. Look, if the markets roll over and gold takes off and we break through that, GLD break through that 128 area with some conviction, miners likely going to move in sympathy. So keeping an eye on this HMY, which has actually held up really well. Could be an opportunity for a little short-term swing if we get some real fear in the markets. Could be an opportunity for a day trading opportunity. We get some real volume. Worth keeping an eye on HMY. HMNY, not a gold play, but could be gold someday. I don't know. Look, had some news flow last week. Got AMC back. Movie Phone. And then some partnership, I think, with Flix Brew House. It appears as though maybe this thing could be finding a bottom here. Just kind of broke over this trend line, got up to the 20-day, pulled back. Maybe we retest this 220 area, 230 area. Could be an interesting spot to take it for a bounce, right? This is still a fairly small float. They did a capital raise. They did a couple capital raises, actually. At $6.50. This thing has been beaten up pretty good. and maybe we're finding a bottoming process here. It seems like the news flow is picking up. Maybe one of these things winds up sticking. Keep in mind, it's also kind of battling the markets, right? So high risk play, but potential trading opportunity or high risk swing there in HMNY. SPKE, a utility play that had a nice big pop, pulled back to an area of potential support, bounced. Looking for a trend line break, take out the $12 holla. 8.5 million shares in the float, small float. Now there are some potential headline risks with this one out there, so you got to be careful with this SPKE. You play it size appropriate, but definitely worth keeping an eye on. OCN, what's his name? What is his name? Cooperman, big position. Missed this trade actually. We were watching it back here in the $3 area as it was consolidating, and some of those announcements of Cooperman's stake were being announced. And the thing had a tremendous run. We've got financials coming up at the end of the week, right? So if financials, we got earnings season kicking off. That's really what's going to matter. Ultimately, that is what's going to matter. If earnings come in and they are as strong as some people believe, I think the markets, that could be the fuel to give the markets a nice little bounce. But we'll see. OCN, if financials do well, this one is one to keep an eye on, right? It is now coming back up and testing this area of price resistance. So, on a pullback to say $4, I think it could be interesting. $4 or 380, somewhere in that area, could be a very interesting spot to take it for a swing position. And if we break out over 450 with some volume, it could be an interesting trading opportunity there, short-term trading opportunity. So keep an eye on OCN. TAHO, Tahoe, another gold and silver play that has an interesting pattern on the daily time frame, flirting with potential 5 roll. If gold and silver get a nice pop, this could be one to keep an eye on. Likely going to have some resistance there at the 200-day moving average. Potential flat top breakout over 510 or so. And there could be a trading opportunity there. But this is a very thick stock. 1.4 billion shares in the float. Keep that in mind. 1.4 billion shares in the float. It's not a thin stock. But this one could be worth watching. I like the setup on the daily time frame. GDP. So there is a oil and gas symposium, I guess, happening next week. GDP will be there. I mentioned that I've got several stocks from the oil and gas sector in my list. This has only got 6.6 million shares in the float. 6.6. Traded 14,000 shares on Friday. Super, super thin. You play this size appropriate. This is a lottery ticket, right? But look, we've got the Golden Cross that just happened. It's sitting right around the 200-day moving average. They report something good at this meeting next week. Maybe you get a pop on this one. I would not chase it. It kind of tends to pop and flop, but it's worth having on the radar. Another one that will be presenting at that symposium is SM. Flirting with the $18 holla, flirting with the trend line. Below the 200-day. Worth keeping an eye on this one. 98 million shares in the float. Look for a trend line break with some conviction. Some volume could be a trading opportunity there up into the 50-day moving average right around $20, $19.90. Worth keeping an eye on that one. AAXN held up beautifully in the market turmoil. Broke out over $40, pulling back. Listen, this could be a swing, higher risk swing because of a small float. It could come back and test $39.50, $40. See if that holds a support. That could be an interesting spot for a bounce. It is overbought, and stochastics look like they're curling. If the markets pull back, maybe this pulls back and tests this area of price support somewhere around $37 or so. But this one is worth keeping an eye on. I think more for a swing on a pullback to significant support. Look, if we lose $37, could it pull back and test 33? Certainly it could. Could you pull back and test close this gap down to $29. That's possible. So if you're looking at building a position in AAXN, you look at all these different areas of potential price support and you identify whether or not those are areas you want to start dipping your toe. But I like AAXN quite a bit. AEHR. I have been watching this stock now for probably months, actually. Testing this $2 area as potential support. Just listen to their conference call this weekend, recent conference call. I think that this stock could be one of those stocks that becomes a treasure. I'm looking at this one as a potential long-term hold position, and the closer to $2 it gets, the more inclined I am to start taking and building a position in the name. They just reported earnings. They beat expectations. They gave good guidance. They've got a nice backlog, and they are working on being profitable for fiscal 2018. And I think that would be a very positive development for this company. So keep an eye on this AEHR. Could be a day trade, could be a higher risk swing. There is a trend line to contend with. There is a 200-day to contend with. But I think that this one is on the right trajectory in the near term. I think it will be on the right trajectory in the near term. FLDM, another. So this one is interesting for the pullback to the 200-day moving average, bounced off. Stochastics look like they could be getting ready to go positive. It is approaching overbought, so maybe we break below the 200-day, especially if the IBB winds up pulling back. But I like this look on this FLDM. 17 million shares in the float, traded 84,000 shares on Friday. Not a lot of volume there, not a lot of liquidity. I think it's pretty key to watch this $5 area. If it pulls back to $5, potential support in that area. If that doesn't hold, the next area of real significant support could be somewhere around $4.50. It's worth at least having on your radar. WRD, another oil and gas firm. That's got a pretty interesting look. I mean, this has got a nice uptrend actually, and testing this trend line, testing the potential $19 holla. They will be presenting at that symposium this week, and it could be one. It's only got 38 million shares in the float, traded 614,000 shares. See if it takes out $19, and maybe you get a retest up there around 21. BlackBerry, big thick stock, reported tremendous earnings. Got crushed. Why did it get crushed? I'm thinking because of the autonomous vehicle thing, right? I think this is in an area of potential, a great area for potential long-term hold starter position. It is, it has broke below the 200-day. And likely shaking some people out, but that was a very good quarter with all these privacy concerns. They become a software company instead of a handheld company. I think the transformation of this company is significant and long term going to be a very good thing. This is they've got a lot of cash, and I think they're on the right path. So this is one that I would suggest could be one of those ones that right now you're a bag holder, but at some point you're going to be holding a bag of treasure. Looking for this one to pull back to $9 and change. But I may start a position in this $10 area. Could we fill this gap down to $9.35? Absolutely. Could it pull back to $8.50, which is some real long-term weekly support? Absolutely. That could happen. Am I going to sell my $10 position at $9.34? If that happens, no. Am I going to add at $8.50? Probably. That would be building my position. So that's one that I think you keep an eye on. I like it quite a bit. Baba. Potential day trading opportunity because it does have some range. I like Bison as well, but Baba, broke below the 200-day. Why Baba break below the 200-day? Because of the China stuff. Come on, put the pieces together. Yeah, I mean, right now, could it break 163? This is a big area we're coming up to. 164, 163.75. Breaks below there. Where's the next area of potential price support? Could be 160, nice round number. Could be 150, right? Maybe we pull all the way back to 144.75. I like Baba for the long term, and if it breaks below this price support of 164, I think that it could present a day trading opportunity for a nice little snapback. It could also present an opportunity for starting to build a swing or long-term hold position. Like Baba quite a bit. And look, if all of a sudden the U.S. and China start talking friendly, what stock do you think is going to bounce really nicely? I'm thinking Baba. AXAS, another oil and gas name that will be presenting at that symposium. Look how well this thing has held up, actually. Broke above the 50-day, pulling back. This might flag out a little bit. But this could be one to keep an eye on for a day trading opportunity. Maybe even a swing on a pullback to say $2. It looks like $2 has been holding as support. Worth keeping an eye on that one. Let's see. MDR, another one that is going to be presenting. And why is MDR? It's not a good looking chart, right? I mean, this is a pretty ugly chart actually. Hit 9 and now look, we pulled back to 5.5. We're at an area of potential price support for a bounce. Stochastics have curled up. MACD is starting to slope the other direction. If they report something of significance, maybe this gets a bounce. Now, this one is potentially looking at a death cross. We've got the 50 EMA crossing below the 200-day. If the 50 simple crosses below the 200-day, then we've got a death cross, and this one could be in for more pain. But there's a possibility for a bounce here. Now, this is a little bit thicker, 214 million shares in the float, but worth keeping an eye on for a potential bounce off of potential price support. APPN, infrastructure play. Small float, 7.8 million shares in the float. There was a 10% owner picking up shares at 22 and 22, 24. It's overbought. It's, flirting with potentially taking out the 200-day. Maybe on a pullback to $25 or so. That could be an interesting spot to take it for a bounce. If it gets any kind of real volume, you take out the 50-day. There is some room here to go back up and test those recent highs up in the $40 area. Worth keeping an eye on APPN for some kind of volume, and maybe see how it acts at the 200-day moving average around $25. And that is it. That is my list of stocks to watch for this week. It could be a very, very interesting week, right? Technically, we could break down. We could see some volatility. We could see some fear. We know what to do if that happens, right? We know where to look, what to play. We don't chase. We look for a good intraday setup. If you've got stocks in your portfolio that you have a lot of profit in, and you want to take some off the table and raise some cash, there's nothing wrong with that. Selling all of your stock, not a great idea. I don't think that is good advice. I think, you start putting together that list of stocks that you really like, companies that you like, the treasures that you think are out there, because you want to be a bag holder of treasure, right? You don't want to be a bag holder of trash like Elfin, but you want to be a bag holder of treasure. One that I would suggest, GE. I said it before, I have a starter position in GE, and it's not my full position. I would love GE to go to $10, and then I will build my position. That is one that I think at some point will be a treasure for people that are buying it when it's on sale. Right now, the people that bought it, much higher, it's trash. But I don't think GE is going out of business. I think it's one to keep an eye on. Listen, for more of my ramblings, more of my thoughts, I do this each and every day for the pro members over at Alpha Wolf Trading for $197 a year. $197 a year. that I'm not trying to make a bunch of money off of selling memberships. I am trying to provide a service that helps people become better, more consistent traders and investors for a very reasonable price. I've got a great group of people. I have a fantastic group of people. And if you want to become part of the family, it's $197 a year. It's ridiculous. It's you get 10 hours of educational programming. You get pre-market, post-market wrap videos. You get what else you get? What else you get? You get my trade plans. You get alerts to when I take my trades. But I send the trade plans out for swings and long-term holds before I take the trade. I put out the thesis, my targets, my target for entry, my targets to exit, which account I'm putting it in, and whether it's long-term hold or swing. And let's see, you get instant alerts on that. You get a live chat room with open mic. Got a lot going on for $197. All right. If you're interested, come check us out over at alphawealthtrading.com. Don't panic, people. Don't panic. Corrections are healthy. Corrections are good. Even if we go into a bear market, defined bear market of 20% correction or more, it's not the end of the world. I really, truly do not believe it's the end of the world, and I believe it presents fantastic opportunity. Good luck trading next week. If you're not comfortable with all this volatility, if you're not comfortable, hey, there's nothing wrong with just sitting on the sidelines, sitting on your hands. Cash is a viable position. All right. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Good luck trading next week. And you know what? I just decided at this very moment, I'm going to open up our live chat room for the entire week. Now, you're going to have to do a little, you're going to have to follow me on Twitter in order to get the link that I send out, because there's a new link every day. All right? It's a new link every day. And if you want to join us next week, keep an eye out on Twitter for the link. The whole week, we're going to open up the live open mic chat room. It's not just me talking. It's other traders that are in the room as well. So keep an eye out for those links next week. And I'll see you all next week.